Let's turn that off, actually. I don't need that. How you doing, Tyson? Oh, oh. Is it working? I think we are live. Why does it look a little tungsten on here? But not, I don't know. Looks a little... Alright, it seems to be good. You are live. The internet can totally see you now. To stop, use your encoder. Okay, so... I just want to set up here to do a little... it's going to be a little rant. I haven't really planned it, I guess. I just kind of wanted to make a video about this and see if anybody else is possibly in the same position I am, or if they were in the same position, and maybe what they did or what they possibly will do. Well, lay down, buddy. And I figure if I just do it live, it'd be easier than just making a video and setting it up and editing. I just do it live because I have good internet now, like I said the other day. But setting this up, I just happened to look and I had 100 subscribers. So I know it's not a lot, but I've had this channel for this specific channel for a couple of years. So yeah, maybe I haven't been the most constant with it, but I've been trying to get better as of late. So thanks. So celebration. It's also almost like 11 p.m. on Saturday night, and I'm working instead of going out and drinking. So there's that. I've been messing with the green screen thing all day. But anyway, back to the ADD, the point of this video. So well, lay down and don't lay under the blanket. So anyway, back to I have, and I'm using right now, the ADD. And there are workarounds to use it for live streaming, like I'm doing now. You use like a capture card, and you can't, unfortunately, have the autofocus working, which sucks. See, if the ADD had either unlimited recording or clean HDMI out, I probably would just stick with it. I mean, I'm not getting rid of it, I guess, but I just want to get into like other cameras I've been possibly looking at as of late that are more, I guess, maybe more video centric than necessarily the ADD is, because I've had the ADD. It'd be like 2 years this coming September, because originally I was debating between it and the GH5 when it came out. But of course that was better. And at the time the GH5 had like, you know, terrible autofocus. And at the time, like for like vlogging and shit and the flip screen, like autofocus is like one of my main concerns. And this is still a great, I mean, this is still a good photo and video camera. But like I said, either I've been doing like live streaming more, then also I've been I've used it for like recording like artist talks and stuff at a gallery, like interviews and stuff, but where you have that 30-minute limit. My dog is going nuts. Where you have that 30-minute limit, it's a real issue. Now I could, like I was saying, if it had clean HDMI out, which it doesn't, I could get around it with like an external video recorder. I mean, I've technically thought about getting like a external video recorder to plug into that, and I'd have to have like focus peaking on it and manual focus the lens. What are you doing? But I mean, depending on what kind you get, they start at like 500, 700, 900 bucks, depending if you get like the Black Magic or the Atomos, whichever one it is. But I've also thought about the GH5. The GH5 has the flip screen. It has dual SD cards, which I'm kind of wanting to get into if I do more like professional paid work. but it doesn't have the autofocus. But I can get an adapter and use all the lenses I have now for it. And since the autofocus isn't good, I'd stick with manual focus probably anyway, and like a higher f-stop for like the greater depth of field. Now another one I've been considering too. I mean, it has 10-bit. It has the 4K, the 4K 60. It's micro four thirds, which it is what it is. But it has image stabilization. But the body alone starts at 1500 now. I've also been looking at possibly getting the XT3. The XT3 has dual card slots. It has a bigger sensor. It has the APS-C sensor. It seems to have like great autofocus, but it doesn't have unlimited recording like the GH5 does. And it doesn't have a flip screen either. So that's kind of issues, and I'm not sure exactly how though the I guess the lenses are for XT3. How about it? I talked to one person that had a Canon 80D and they got XT. I think they got like 2 XT3s and a GH5 for like a backup, where they're doing like paid like wedding videography. So that's different from what I'm doing. So like I said, there's the GH5 I was thinking about. There's the XT3 I was thinking about. There's also, of course, the EOS R and kind of RP, but more R. Now the R, it's more expensive. It has a single card slot, which is not good. It does do 10-bit out through HDMI, which is nice. Although the XT3 and the GH5 do internal 4K 10-bit. And it's like $2,000 I could use the lenses I have now on it too, because you can do like I have I have a few EF and a few EFS lenses. And you use like the EFS lenses and do the 4K. But I was also, but it starts at like, I think it was 2,300 and it went down to $2,000. That's just the body. The XT3, just the body, I believe, is 1,400. That thing is like 1,700 with the kit lens. The GH5 is 1,500, just the body. But the GH5 has a lot of, you can do like the battery grip. You can do like the XLR, like hot shoe thing, which is, it seems like it's, I mean, obviously it's very set up for like video. And even like maybe indie filmmaking, like documentary and stuff. So that's definitely something I'm looking at. And of course, I can use the lenses I have now and just adapt them. Because I thought about getting like the 12 to 35, and there's like the 35 to, I believe, like 100 2.8. But those are pretty expensive. Because I'm trying to keep budget in this as well. Then the another one I was kind of looking at is the Sony A6400. It's only single card slot, but it's also, it starts at 8 or 900 depending where you get the kit lens or not. It has unlimited recording. It now has a flip screen compared to the other ones. Supposedly, it's there's no overheating, but they also said that with the A7 III, and I've seen like people like live stream with the A7 III, and it like overheats with them. So yeah, it could be, because I'm kind of, when I think about it, I'm kind of thinking of the, because Sony's supposed to have really good low light capability. And it does 6K downsample to 4K, so as a 4K, you'll still be a sharp 4K. You only have 8-bit instead of 10-bit, but I don't know if I'm overvaluing 10-bit as of yet, because right now I'm just doing like online stuff. And even if I do like commercials and music videos and stuff, it's still online. It'd still be smaller things, and like artist talks and interviews and all this stuff is still I mean, it's going to like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or something. So the 4K will get you a sharper image for sure compared to 1080. It has unlimited recording, has the flip out screen, which is something I want. Because another one I was thinking about as well was the Canon M50. Now it's like $600, and they have a sale going on now where you get the adapter is usually like $190, which is insane. But they kind of have sales going on where it's like $14 or like $38 depending on when you get it bundled with the M50. And I can I'd have like a smaller vlogging camera compared to the 80D. And I'd be able to use like all the lenses essentially almost natively with the adapter. But if I compare it to the Sony A6400, both can do 4K, but like the M50 has a crop. There's no autofocus, but with the A6400, it's the full width of the APS-C sensor, and it has autofocus. If you want 120p, I think the M50 does it at 7. If you want 120 frames per second, the M50 I think does it at 720p, but the A6400 does it at 1080. So, and obviously budget's a huge thing in this. Like some people could be like, you know, sell your 80D for whatever you get out of it and put it into the Sony system like the A6400. Which even if I get the A6400, I still have use to use this as like a secondary camera, like a backup camera. Maybe I can leave this in the studio as like a live streaming camera, which that's what I'm using. I'm using it right now for like live streaming. And also like where I do, you know, traditional art in my studio, I can use it too. And even at the very least, use it as like a time-lapse camera because it has like silent shooting, so it won't be as annoying. Because right now I have this, and the 80D was my upgrade from my Canon T2i that I bought, I believe, back in 2012 for around $800. And I'm still actually using that some, like in the studio as like a time-lapse camera. Because I think if you take the photos, then put them... Because when you're doing time-lapse, you can record a video and speed it up and it'll be good, but you can like take photos and make that in time-lapse and it'll be like way better. Or it will be... like that has an 18 megapixel sensor. So I think it comes out to around like 3.5K when you make like a time-lapse video. And the Canon 80D, like I've messed around with it too, because it's 6,000 by 4,000 pixels, I believe. So if you do like a standing object and you do like photos of it, you can make a time-lapse out of it, and it'll be like a 6K time-lapse, and you like downsample that to 4K, and you'll have like a crisp time-lapse. But I think I'm getting a little off topic here. Yeah, I still kind of want it. The T2i does like 480p. I still kind of want to like make it'd be interesting to make a video or make like a music video where I'm like the whole thing's shot in like 480p. I kind of want to mess around with that. But I mainly have that as kind of like a time-lapse camera. And this is my main camera right now. I actually just bought the other day a if you can see it here, like a webcam. I think I talked about it the other day, to be like a face cam in the studio. It's decent. But if I want to start doing like, I guess, paid work or more paid work, like recording like lectures or interviews, artist talks, you know, whatever it may be, I think... Well, I should say, like, with the A6400, it has the 4K, it has 120p, and they have where it has, like, clean HDMI out. So I could plug it into... I could do it like this, and actually have it doing the autofocus and not like the autofocus like box would show up like it does with this one, because it has clean HDMI out. It's supposed to have like the best autofocus of any Sony, and I guess they're doing like a firmware update to the A9 to give it the same thing, and like it does like 11 frames per second. Like buying the body itself is not necessarily an issue, but like all the lenses I have won't work on it, so I'd have to invest in that body and all the lenses I need for that as well. Because I'm thinking I'd probably just get the kit lens just because it's so cheap and I could like use it, and it'd be small. Like, it's like a little pancake thing, and I can use it for vlogging a lot. And it would be smaller, and it flips up, so that kind of negates the whole M50 thing if I really think about it just on those two aspects: small, with three, small, light, and flippy screen. Also, because Sigma came out with like a set of primes. I think there's like a 16-1.4, there's like a 30-1.4, and there's a 36-1.4. I think I would 16-1.4 for sure. I think 56-1.4. I don't know if I necessarily need to get the 30-1.4 at that point. Maybe, maybe not. But I think those are, I want to say $300 or $400 a piece, which is not a bad price for them considering what they are. Because I think maybe I'd get like the kit lens if I was going to get the A6400. Buy it with the kit lens probably. Then like the 16-1.4 Sigma. Then maybe this 56-1.4 Sigma. And there is a there's a Sony 18-105 f4. I think it's like $600. So it's a little on the pricey side, but it's like a constant f4 made for that. I think I'd get that. But then I have to like go kind of like use, you know, the Canon lenses for the Canon and the Sigma lenses and the Sony lenses for the Sony. I'm like on a really tight budget, so I'm trying not to. I was trying to, because if I got the GH5, I can like just get the adapter and use the lenses I already have. So I'm trying to make it like the most efficient I can. But had those 3, 4, possibly 5 lenses for that. Also, another thing with that, with the Sony, they have a 10-18 f4, but they want like $800 for it, which is like insane for that. Like that's a $400 to maybe $500 lens. I don't know why they're trying to sell it for like $800 for it. Or maybe I can buy it used or whatever. But then I'd have, you know, be able to produce like 4K content, which is I got the internet to support it now, since I got like better high-speed internet recently. Then also, like from what I've heard, if you even if you like film 1080 and you export to 4K, like if you have 4K content in YouTube, from what I heard, like the algorithm will like push that higher, just because they're like wanting to promote more like 4K stuff now. So that'd be interesting. Well, I guess also too, there's like the Blackmagic Cinema Pocket 4K camera. It does like 12-bit like raw recording. And I use DaVinci Resolve to edit with, so I'd work with it. But I think at this point that would almost be like, for what I'm doing, unless I get into like more paid work, that's almost like too much for what I need now. I do like the idea of like 10-bit 4K just for, you know, like dynamic range and color grading and all that stuff, which I'm just now being able to get into color grade more, since I have like maybe like a month ago I got like a good laptop for editing. But then even because I was thinking about the Sony A7 III as well, but it's like it has there's like some slight overheating issues with it. but it's like full frame photography, which is something I was wanting to, like the EOS R had like full frame photography. And then it also had like 4K video recording at kind of a, like in between. This is like Super 35, maybe a little bit tighter. But with like keeping budget in mind, I'm trying to, not necessarily the cheapest, but like I'm trying to get like the best bang for buck. And with it, it's like $2,000 for the body, which is, I mean, it's good for a full, like for a while, it was like one of the cheapest, or is a fairly reasonably priced like full frame body. Because they did 8-bit 420, I think. I think you get 422 8-bit with a video recorder. But it had like the dual card slot. It was also like the 6K downsample to 4K. And then of course Lumix. The, what was it, S1, S1R, then like the S1H is like 6K. And like I'm still filming at like 1080p. I know professionals are like, because I think it's gonna be like $4 grand. Because I know professionals are like still pushing, you know, like 4K, 5K, 6K, 8K. So I'm trying to, like, I don't ever see anything like beyond 4K for me, at least in the close foreseeable future. I mean, I still could even like record in 4K and export in like 1080, but if I record in 4K, I might like put up in 4K just because of the algorithm stuff. But I'm getting way off topic. But if I needed to shoot something, I think the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K might be good. But then again, I might almost get the GH5 because it's also micro four thirds. It's dual SD card slots. While I'm trying to keep SD instead of having to go to, was it CF or CFast or XQD or all this other stuff. Because I'm trying to keep it kind of, I don't know if you want to say minimalist, but trying to keep the gear minimal. I don't know if that makes sense. But I was kind of thinking about this is if I have the money and the budget in the foreseeable future. So I was kind of thinking about the A6400, which is only single card slot, but the 80D it's also single card slot. So, but it might be a little iffy on paid shoots if it's like something that can only be recorded once. Maybe if I can get that with those primes and the 105 to 18 and use that, it has clean HDMI out, 6K down to 4K. But if something comes up where I like, I don't know, maybe I'm like recording something I can't, you know, mess up. Maybe at that point in time, I could either rent or maybe justify buying like a GH5. And still I could use, you know, EF lenses on that with an adapter, or even the F or FE lenses on it as well. Because I know if you get like a speed booster, they're like $600. But maybe if you just get like a straight adapter and like manual focus, it'd be cheaper. Because I'm thinking too, if I was to get like because I was kind of looking at like a Rokinon like Cine Primes. Get it as like a maybe like an EF mount. I can still use it on Canon, and since they're all completely manual, I could also use it on the Sony with an adapter and the GH5 with an adapter. But I'm just trying to figure out if anybody else has like kind of been in this position. Like I kind of want full frame, but also full frame's bigger. It's more expensive. Like the lenses are more expensive, which for photography, it's great. But I think for like video, it's not necessary, even though some people would probably disagree. But I'm thinking, I was also thinking too, because I do like some concert photography and like bars where it's like really dark. And I've been able to get by with this and like the 50 1.8 and kind of the 24-28 was like really iffy depending on the lighting situations. And that's why I was wanting to go to full frame for that. But I was kind of thinking if I got that Sony, which is supposed to be better in low light, and the Sigma 1.4, if that would be enough to not even have to worry about full frame. Obviously, I understand full frame and fast glass will probably offer better results, but it comes with that price tag too. But yeah, I think I've ranted for long enough. I just wanted to kind of bleh it out. That's what I've been thinking about, trying to figure out. But M50 is probably cheapest. Second cheapest is probably the Sony a6400, which offers a bit more. Then I think technically the XT3 would be the next, and then the GH5, and then and then the like Sony a7 III in EOS R. But for the full frame, they came out with like the Canon RP, but there's no 24 frames per second in 1080. There's no dual pixel in the 4K. If you throw an EFS lens on there, it forces you to either do 720p or 4K, which is they're just like crippling shit on purpose. I mean, I like what Canon has to offer sometimes, but they just keep, because they want to protect their cinema line and like force you to pay more for that. Then like Nikon doesn't have a cinema line, so they're like throwing everything into their like Z6, Z7, along with like the Panasonic Lumix. Sony does have a cinema line, but I think you'd go to that if you want like 10-bit with their like FS5 or like FS7. Because I know people are still waiting on like the Sony A7 or A7S III, seeing what that may be. I feel like people have been waiting for that for like a year and a half or something like that. But but I have 100 subs, which is awesome. Maybe it won't jump below it after this video. That would be depressing. And like, I've had it like, I'm like, it goes up, then it like goes back down. I'm like, shit. But I mean, this is still good for photo. Don't get me wrong. And it's still good for video too. It's just that whole clean HDMI out, unlimited recording, which the A6400 has. It also has 4K, 1080p, 120 frames per second. I think this also came in like 2016, so there's a couple of years difference as well. Then if I really need something, I can like jump to the GH5 maybe. I don't know. I'm just like I'm putting this out there and just want to see what other people have done, if they're in the same boat. But yeah, I'm yeah. Because I think this Sony maybe, because I was contemplating getting the M50 like pair with the 80D, but it's kind of like getting another 80D almost. But yeah. So I'm thinking if I really needed the A6400 with the 4K, flip screen, good autofocus, unlimited recording, clean HDMI out. It has a single SD card, which is kind of It only does 8-bit, which is kind of But I don't even know if I need 10-bit at this point in time. I could work with that. Then if I absolutely need 10-bit for whatever reason, then rent or buy GH5 or XT3. I don't want to be bouncing between all these different camera systems, so that's the big issue. That's the reason I was going to go the EOS R, because I already have, 6 like Canon lenses or something like that. I thought about getting like the A6400, then getting like an adapter, but it's flip screen, like kind of autofocus, kind of like it's null or void at that point. But it would work with the GH5 in that aspect. But yeah, I mean, all right, I've been on here for like 30 minutes. I'm going to end this. But yeah, if you watch this, make it this far, if you have any comments about it, maybe what I should do, maybe I should just stick with this. I don't need 4K. I mean, I've been able to do this for like more than 30 minutes. Maybe just get like a cheap external recorder and kind of do it. But that's like $500 for the cheap one. And then a couple hundred more, I can get like a whole new, but I have to get a whole new lens. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. But all right. Yeah, I'm going to. I got to eat. I haven't eaten breakfast so far today. It's like 11:30 at night. I've been like running around doing stuff. So yeah, questions, comments, whatever. I got links below. If you feel like supporting me through PayPal or Patreon, maybe you want to, maybe you want to give me $1,000 to buy it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, all right, yeah, I'm gonna get off of here. Peace. But I have a couple of videos coming up too that I'm working on, like some headphones and webcam stuff. And of course, Today in Art. Once a week. At least once a week for that. Alright, now I'm going to get off here. Peace.